game. Blouses.
Gallon chuck.
Disaster.
Spaghetti.
Disaster.
Well, I mean, I'm no doctor.
We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves
Mitch and Sean. You guys are the greatest duo.
Fantastic.
That team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
We doing this? All right. Welcome into the first Post-Game Pints podcast. Sean Campbell, Mitch Gallo. I'm glad you could join us. And Mitch, what are we going to be doing here? Why is it not called something else?
Why is it not called something else? I don't know. Because we want to rebrand, we want to reformat, and we want to do things a little bit differently. I know I get a lot of requests, Sean. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of requests for people to see my face and get my pretty mug out there. So we're going to have a YouTube version, and we're going to try to get this on different platforms and try to expand our horizons a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what? It's post-game. That means we could go in any direction. We know that you and I are both Montreal-centric, living in Montreal. We both work for TSN 690, but it doesn't mean we can't go anywhere we want to go. But we kind of want to keep the same banter that we've always had and some of the favorite things that we've always done, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we love sports, and we want to do roundtable sports, get to as many different things as we can, but also try to keep it short and brief. And, Sean, I know as we record this podcast, you're wearing all your Packers gear, so you might be a little distracted as we have an ongoing game and a very interesting NFL season. And I think, with where we're at in sports right now, the NFL is the only thing going, and we probably will talk a lot of NFL in the coming weeks.
Oh, I'm watching the game right now, so I'm completely distracted. I
got it on right there.
Yeah, I have it actually in front of the screen. So if it looks like I'm looking down, I'm actually watching it.
Yeah, for me, if it looks like if I'm looking to the left, I'm actually watching.
All right. So one of the things that we do all the time, Mitch, here, you and I, and we're going to be doing this on the Post Games podcast. Sometimes it's going to be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but we're going to start things off Montreal basic, and it's going to go hockey. It's going to go Habs, but we're going to go rapid fire. So start us off, Mitch. Habs off season, you love it, or you really love it?
Sean, I really love it. I think if you look at the Canadiens and everything they've done, they had so many needs and so many areas in which they could improve and ensure that they get more points. We got a touchdown?
Touchdown, baby.
Ensure that they got more points this year as opposed to last year and could actually be in a comfortable position to make the playoffs and be in a comfortable position at the trade deadline. So what did they need to do? They needed to add a backup goalie because that was a serious area of weakness. And we'll see how it works out, Jake Allen, but I like the acquisition. I know that they were pretty high on what they did last year at that position. Didn't quite work out, and things needed to change very, very quickly. They needed to add some goal scoring. They did so with Toffoli, and I think that contract is bargain. It's a bargain, and you're not going to sign a guy like that for that price tag any other year than in the COVID year and the flat cap year. And they needed to add some size, specifically on the wings. And they did that with Toffoli, but obviously more importantly with Josh Anderson. Joel Edmondson on the back end, I like that acquisition as well. And you got Romanov coming now. It just feels like the Canadiens are a more rounded, better-built team than they were before.
All right, so we're going to break down each and individual new player coming to the Montreal Canadiens here on the Rapid Fire on the post-game podcast. But the one thing just on there, everybody's like a little too excited for me. It just seems a little bit much because, yes, they got Anderson, but they did lose a player. Edmondson is not a guy that has been known to be a bona fide top four in the Canadiens. He's a top four. Yeah, everybody's excited about a backup goalie in Jake Allen. but the Canadians will live and die on the play of Carey Price. I know that Jake Allen will help, but it means that you still need to rely on Carey Price. Toffoli, I like that acquisition probably more than some of the other moves that the Canadians made, and we just don't know anything about Romanoff. We can be excited about Romanoff, but we just don't know everything about Romanoff. So I like the offseason. I think they've done some good things, but I'm not overboard like everybody else. I'm kind of keeping it, good offseason, but I'm going to wait and see on a lot of this. That's how I feel.
And I'm with you. And I think a lot of it comes down to some of the experts and some of the people talking about what they've done. And, they're getting rave reviews, so people are getting very excited. I don't want to get carried away either, Sean, because I'm with you. But the bottom line is, if I ask you in a very simple way, are the 2020-2021 Montreal Canadiens a superior team on paper to the 2019-2020 team? You're obviously going to say yes. So Marc Bergevin improved his team. Now, did he significantly improve his team? That's wait and see. But I think a lot of this is going to come down to Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki and how much they're able to improve their play and build on what they were able to accomplish last year. Kotkaniemi in the playoffs more so than in the regular season. And obviously Nick Suzuki voted to the all-rookie team, trying to build on what he was able to accomplish in his first NHL season. But I do think they're a lot better than they were a year ago.
All right, so let's jump on that, because I think that's where one of the bigger problems I have with the Canadians moving forward is at the center ice position. And I know that it's not supposed to be a problem, but it's the only place where I do see eventual weakness for the Canadians. So why don't we dive into the Anderson-Domi trade? Because a lot of people are excited about it. But I think that the Canadians gave up a lot of offense, and they gave up their depth at center. I was all for the Canadians finding a way to keep Max Domi on this team. I understand maybe the price to get Anderson was Max Domi. That might have been the price. So you have to pay to get what you want. And the Canadians, I think, are in need of a guy like Josh Anderson. But I think it's going to cost them dearly of losing a center iceman. And I think it's going to cost them dearly on losing a player that can produce offense at a higher level than a lot of the players that they have already. So I'm still hesitant on that trade, because down the middle, you're relying on Kotkaniemi. How many points are you going to get out of him? Suzuki, I think you're going to get more points out of him. Danault, who's he going to play with? Is he going to play with Lehkonen and Byron? He won't get 50 points with those guys. And then Jake Evans or Ryan Poehling, that is an entire question mark for the Canadians. So moving Domi, I feel like, made the Canadians less deep at the center ice. They're young, but they're less deep at the center ice position. So I'm still hesitant on that trade.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. My problem with what you're saying is we've kind of seen two different versions of Max Domi, year one and year two, obviously completely different players. And also I think a lot of people are basing their opinions, Sean, on what they saw in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, Max Domi wasn't a factor for the Montreal Canadiens, where Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki were. They played higher up in the lineup. So that's why, to me, it comes down to which version of these guys are they going to get? Are they if they get from Suzuki and Kotkaniemi the same type of level of play, like in the playoffs from last year, in the regular season next year, then I don't think it's an issue at all that they.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But can I ask you, do you think that Kotkaniemi, what he did for 10 games, can do for 82?
See, I don't know. That's where I'm at. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, the higher percentage. You think Philip Danault can play the way he can for 82 games, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nick Suzuki playing that way, do you think, let's say it's not 82 games. How many games, because he's so young, how many games do you think he could play like that?
Nick Suzuki at a consistent level?
Yeah.
I'd give him a good 65 games.
Perfect. Kotkaniemi?
50.
Evans?
In a fourth-line role?
Yeah,
I'd put him at 65 games. He's a seasoned pro.
There's still a lot of holes there. There's still a lot of games where you're not getting production. And if those 35 games, they all don't produce at the same time.
You're right. You're right. Here's the thing, though.
There's a hole at center.
Yeah. The only problem is, and I think we're kind of where we're not. I'm not going to say we're having a miscommunication, but the reason
we're on the same page. We're looking at it differently.
Yeah, but I think the reason we're looking at it differently is because I think you appreciated what Max Domi brought to the Canadians more so than me.
Yeah, well, I can also tell that your glass is more full than my glass is pretty much empty.
Hey, well, the goal of the podcast is to get the glass empty. But,
That is.
we always want to talk like it's half full.
All right, let's jump right into Joel Edmondson. Everybody has him as a top four. Where was he a top four defenseman? Where did he play 22 minutes a night? Why is he all of a sudden Jeff Petry's partner? When Brett Kulak, you just spoke about Kotkaniemi and Suzuki playing lights out in the playoffs. Brett Kulak was one of those players that played lights out in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think with Kulak, I don't know how high the management and the coaching staff is on his ability to play in that role. I think, we've seen some comments from Mark
in that
Bergevin.
role for 82 games.
That's right.
Role for 82 games.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think you want to add as many quality people as possible, and you want to have different options at that position. Sean, maybe he's playing on the third pair, and it's Romanov at some point that's on the second pair with Jeff Petry on the left side. I don't know how it's going to play out. I know they added a quality NHL defenseman, and now they have more bodies on the blue line, and they're not going to have to dig deep and use guys like Xavier Ouellet that are borderline NHL players, with all due respect. They're also going to create some internal competition. Now, in an ideal world, is Joel Edmondson in your top four on the blue line? Definitely not. But, I'll look at every NHL team, and no NHL team is dealing with an ideal lineup. Maybe some teams are close, and maybe some teams are even closer than the Canadians to having an ideal lineup. But every team is going to have some kind of hole. But I think, if you look at Edmondson, the contract he was given, and where the Canadians are going forward, I think the hope is that Romanov is eventually in that spot on the second pairing, and Edmondson is playing on a third pairing. And I think if that's the case, you got to think. And again, we don't know about Romanov. We haven't seen him play the pro game. I get it. But I think that's the hope. And if that's the case, the Canadians are in a pretty good spot with Edmondson on the third pair.
By the way, I do think that there's a strong possibility, and I like the idea of Edmondson and the flexibility that he has, because he's a guy that's been everywhere and kind of fits in any lineup. He has the ability to play the right side. I hate, me, I hate this left-right stuff, and I know that there are guys that are just right and just left. I love that you still have guys that are like, hey, I can play both sides. He's very comfortable playing the right. I actually think he has a more strong possibility of playing the right side on the third pairing behind Petry and Weber than anybody else. But those are the lines. We'll have to see what the coach thinks at that point. Okay, you mentioned Romanov. He's another X factor for the Canadians. Best case scenario, you mentioned him, Petry's partner. No. Best case scenario, that guy's Shea Weber's partner. Worst case scenario, he's playing in Laval. Did I get that right or wrong?
If he's like in Laval, Sean, that's not worst case scenario. That's catastrophic scenario.
I don't think it's catastrophic as someone that calls the Laval Rocket games. I think catastrophic is that he says, I hate Montreal, I'm going back to the KHL. I think that's catastrophic. I just saying worst case for the Canadians, because they're really high on him, is that he's not with this team right now because he's not up to NHL standards, because we still don't know. The kid's 20.
I think the hope is for him to be at NHL caliber from both the team and for him.
I agree. I'm just giving you two scenarios, on either side.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. Look, if he's ever playing in the American League, and it's not because of a rehab stint or a quick 1 or 2 game freshen up at that level, if that happens, if he's playing down there, the first podcast we have where he's down there, I'll pound a pint to start the show while the intro's playing. How's that?
All right, I like it. We should do that anyways. We just do that anyways. Who cares?
Might make it for an interesting podcast, yeah.
Yeah, I know Dave will probably do it anyways. All right, let's get into one more here on the rapid fire. Do you want to talk about Toffoli or Allen? You choose.
Now, Sean, let's talk about Toffoli, and let's start with yourself. I got 2 questions for you when it comes to Tyler Toffoli. Number 1, do you see him playing on left wing? And I know you said before you don't really care about that stuff, but I think it makes a bigger difference at the forward position than it makes at the defense position. Do you see him playing left wing at all? And how many goals do you think he can score for this team next year?
I 100% see him on the left side. He's a shooter. He is more comfortable on the right side, but he may be more comfortable playing with better players because he gets the opportunity on the left side. And I could see him getting 25 goals on the Canadiens. I know people are, again, really excited. 25 is a great number.
That's a nice number.
Yeah, I think 25 is a nice number for Toffoli. He's shown he can do it. I know he's gotten 30 before. Where I liked him, and I watched him a lot, in his early years with LA, but I watched him a lot with Vancouver, and it was a short stint. But he developed chemistry right away with Elias Pettersson. And
100%.
And look, Canadians don't have a Pettersson on their team. But if Toffoli at training camp just starts rolling and he's in the locker room next to Kotkaniemi, and I'm using him as an example. Maybe it's just because they're both tall and lanky. I don't know. And they just click. And they're able to find a chemistry right away. To me, Toffoli is exactly what Kotkaniemi needs. He doesn't need Lehkonen next to him. He needs Toffoli. And I think that if Toffoli, even if it's on the left side, I think he could play on the left side. Maybe it might be the right. But I think he's the guy that's going to get the opportunity on the left more so and earlier than anybody else. If it doesn't work, they'll switch him to the right, and they'll be like, hey, Armia, can you play? Oh, yeah, I can play on the boards. It doesn't matter what side I'm on. It doesn't really matter. But I think Toffoli's going to get that first shot. And I'm using Kotkaniemi as an example, but it could be that he falls in love with Suzuki too. But he's a shooter on his off wing. I like that. I really do. So 25 is my number. What's your number?
I'm going to also, 25 is a nice number. It's pretty conservative. I'm not going to give you a number. Here's what I'll say. You set the line at 25. I think it's a perfect Vegas number for me to take the over. I'll take the over, but I think the line is set perfectly. Like, he's going to be right there. It's going to be 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, somewhere in that area. So I'm going to side with optimism, Sean, and give him over 25 goals on the season. I think the ideal line mate is Suzuki because I think he passes the puck a little bit better than Kotkaniemi does, and Toffoli could be that great trigger guy. And I think it gives them a lot of options on the power play too, because that's an area of weakness.
Yeah,
and they could use a guy who knows how to put the puck in the net on the power.
The other thing you mentioned, I've always liked it, and I feel like they do it just a little. They haven't done it enough. Jonathan Drouin with Kotkaniemi. I've always liked that idea of that pairing. If you're moving Toffoli to the left side of Suzuki, whoever you want to put on the right, I don't really care. But the idea of Drouin and Kotkaniemi, I like that too as a pairing, just moving forward for the Canadians. I mean, we're so far away from what they're going to be doing at the lines and training camp. It's going to be fun once they get there. Just so we can finish our final thoughts here on the rapid fire. Anything that we skipped over too fast that you want to finish? Finish your thoughts, Mitch.
Yeah, very quickly, Sean. What's the ideal amount of games for Jake Allen?
I think in this scenario where we're talking about probably a 67, 70 game season.
Prorated though. Prorated to make it easy on the brain.
30.
Okay.
And I'm putting that because of the back-to-backs.
Yeah.
30. And then you know what? If they get 25, that's a steal. Carey Price is not used to that. If you get 20 from his backup, he's not used to that. Just the other thing is win more games than you lose. And make sure that Carey Price is rested for the playoffs because you're not playing in the playoffs. That's your role.
Fair enough.
But if Carey Price is hurt, maybe they could salvage something. I think that's something that they weren't able to do before. Anyway, so I'll give you that. All right, Mitch, that is our rapid fire. What we want to do at the end of every single post-game podcast is a little bit of a pop quiz. I got a quiz for Mitch. Mitch has got a quiz for me. We're going to be on the clock here and make sure that we get this in and done in time. But let's roll. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first? You want me to be angry?
I'll go first.
Okay, so you want me angry when I'm asking you your question?
Yeah, I think mine might upset you a little bit.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to really think and really listen to what the category is.
All right, I got my pen and paper. I'm always ready.
Right.
Pen and paper.
So the category, Sean.
People should know this. Bring pen and paper wherever you go.
The category is top 5 from the all-time points list. Okay?
Gotcha.
Who at some point in their career played on an expansion team that entered the league after 1990.
So, top 5, they played on an expansion team after 1990.
Yeah, on the all-time list, and they only have to play in the city at some point in their career.
Okay. So, top 5 players, they had to play on an expansion team from 1990. So, you're giving me from the Tampa Bay expansion on, right? Like the Tampa Bay, Ottawa, San Jose, etc. So, Joe Thornton's on that list. Patrick Marleau's on that list, right?
So Joe Thornton is number 14 all-time scoring.
Yeah.
He is number 3 on this list.
Okay, so maybe Patrick Marleau didn't make it then.
Patrick Marleau is number 8 on this list.
Okay, he's number 8. Okay, so Joe Thornton is on that list because he played for the Sharks, and I know he's known for playing for the Sharks. Let's go with where's my boy Marian Hossa?
Marian Hossa did not make the top 10 on this list.
No.
No.
So Joe Thornton's number 3 is 14. Then there's a couple players above Joe Thornton. You said he's 14 all time?
Joe Thornton's 14th all time.
Okay.
Yes.
You got Yags with Florida.
Jaromir Jagr is a correct answer. He is the number 1 answer on the board, considering he's the number 2 all-time points leader in NHL history.
Yeah. So then you got Jagr, you got Thornton. All-time scorers, looking at the all-time scorers list, guys that are there. A lot of guys I'm trying to think, because a lot of those guys at the top are in the 80s and they finished up. Oh, no, he didn't get enough points. Never mind. I was thinking games on that one. Sorry, I was thinking games. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I was thinking games.
Oh, I know who it was.
Chelios.
No.
Now, on the games list, he'll be there because he played 7.
He'd probably be pretty high on the points list too, to be honest.
No, not in a top 5 though. If Thornton's to be at 14, he's nowhere close to there. So Yags, I don't think Hossa has enough points. I don't think. What about Recchi?
Recchi is the number 2 answer, number 12 all time in scoring. So you have 1, 2, and 3. You're missing 4 and 5. I'll tell you.
Time-wise, what do we got? Got to give me a clue. I want to make sure we don't miss you.
Yeah, no. It just told me that Zoom has extended, there's no more 40-minute time limit.
Okay. Oh, good for us. All right. Well, we still want a time limit on the post-game.
Yeah. All right, so you got Recchi. Recchi, number 12 all-time in scoring. You're missing 4 and 5. I would say 4, if you really think hard, is obvious. And 5 is a guy like Mark Recchi, who is always forgotten about. But when you think about it, he's a really good player.
Yeah, he's always kind of forgotten about, traveled around a little bit, but a really good player. Whoa. Timu's got to be there.
Timu's the one that was obvious. Number 4 answer at number 16 all-time.
Oh, man, I'm kind of happy with myself. You thought I'd be angry, but I think I'm doing quite well here. So now I've got
not to talk about too much stuff that happens away from the podcast, but I did a test run with Joey Alfieri at 2:30 this afternoon. Joey got only 1 answer.
Nah, he sucks at this stuff.
He only got Thornton.
So now number 5 is the guy that's been underrated and kind of traveled around a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of points. He's probably right under Solani, within the top 20. Is he in the top 20?
He's 18.
He's 18, so he's right under. He's got the same amount of points as Solani. He's been around a long time. He landed on one of these teams at some point. Did he play, I guess, the bulk of his games in the 90s and some in the 80s?
Mostly the 90s.
I'm
not even sure if he played in the 80s, to be honest.
Okay. But mostly in the 90s he played. All right. And he's around Teemu Selanne, probably likely the same.
He probably played in the late 80s, now that I think really hard about it.
He played in the late 80s too? That's significant. There's a cutoff there, right?
All right. I'll give you a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's a bit of a random clue, but I think it might help you. Think Joe Thornton.
So, okay, I got it. So it's on a guy that was on an expansion team. Marty St. Louis? Vinny?
No, not Marty St. Louis. No, you misunderstood what I was saying by think Joe Thornton. You might even forget that this player played on an expansion team.
Okay, so the expansion, when you said think Joe Thornton, I was thinking a guy that just was on an expansion team his whole career.
Not in that way.
Oh, so you're just thinking of a guy with a beard.
No, what else is Thornton known for?
So it's a playmaker.
Yep.
Is it Mark Savard?
Nope.
No, he didn't have enough points.
Good guess, though.
Adam Oates?
Good guess with the Thrashers connection.
Yeah, Adam Oates?
Adam Oates, number 18, all-time in scoring.
Hold on. He
Wrapped
played.
up-
Where did he wrap up? He played for.
He played for the Anaheim Ducks for 1 year.
I vaguely remember that. Vaguely.
He was
All
on
right.
the Ducks team that went to the Stanley Cup final, and Jean-Sébastien Giguère won the Conn Smythe.
All right. Well, look, I said it before you said it, so I'm taking the point, but that's a hard one. The Adam Oates is a hard one. 4 out of 5. But it was 5 out of 5. You didn't say Oates, I said Oates.
4 out of 5 was good, by the way. I was impressed. I thought that Recchi was going to be really hard for you to come by. I thought Jagger, the Florida, might elude you. So I'm pretty impressed with the 4 out of 5. And
I'm good at this stuff.
Everyone forgets Oates.
Yeah. I didn't forget him. I said it after I figured it out with some clues. All right. I got a pop quiz for you. I got a top 5. I'm asking you, Mitch Gallo, to wrap up the Post-Game Pints podcast, Gallo and Campbell, our initial podcast. Glad you could join us. And make sure you like, subscribe, wherever you're listening. If it's on SoundCloud, iTunes. What else are we doing here? Dave. Well, Dave's not here, man. But
Dave's not here, man.
All right. Look, YouTube, we're going to try the YouTube thing, and I hope you like it. And we want suggestions because we are planning to amplify each and every episode. Every episode is going to be amplified just a little bit because we're testing it. It's new to us. It's new to Gallo. It's new to everyone, but we're going to be doing this. All right. My pop quiz for you. Last year in the National Hockey League, I would like to know the top 5 scorers, Mitch, that were over 30 years old.
Top 5 scorers over 30 years old.
In the league last year.
It's such a young man's game.
It is. And that's why I like this question.
John Tavares.
Nope. Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. I went. By the way, I went to the top 10. I don't know where Tavares is, but I went to the top 10, and he wasn't on the top 10. So.
Okay, hold on. Two of them I think are easy.
Yeah.
Alex Ovechkin.
That is number 4, Alex Ovechkin. He's 34 years old. He's 35 now. 67 points.
Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby. Incorrect.
He fought the injuries. Evgeny Malkin.
And number 3 at 33 years old, 74 points. He was 14th overall.
Blake Wheeler.
Coveted number 6, my friend. Good guess. No one ever guesses Blake Wheeler, ever. All he does is put up points. And I say this all the time. Most underrated player in the National Hockey League, Blake Wheeler. None of this Barkov, Huberto stuff. It's Wheeler.
I thought I was so clever with that one.
Yeah. Number 5 is going to kind of piss you off, I think.
Yeah. Tyler Seguin.
No. You're missing 1 and 2, man. You're missing 1 and 2.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
I'm trying to think, man. I told you it's a really young man's game right now.
Yeah.
Number one
was 6th overall. Number 2 was 8th overall.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. No. They're very solid players.
Yeah, I would imagine. So. Steven Stamkos.
Nope.
Is he under 30?
Okay. Sorry. It's starting the season under 30. At some point, he turned 30 in the season.
He turned 30 during the season?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Just to give you the breakdown. If they started and they turned 30 in February, screw you. You weren't 30 the whole time. That's how I'm playing it. Sorry to give you the specifics to it, but you get it. You understand. I'm not going down that route.
Patrice Bergeron.
Number 10.
Number 10?
Number 10.
Brad Marchand?
Number 1. Yeah. He's 31 years old. He had 87 points last year.
It's hard to believe that he's that old.
It's hard to believe that he consistently puts insane amount of points up. People still think he's just a latchy to Pasternak and Bergeron. No. That guy drives the play.
Yeah, but the funny thing about Marchand is I find that he only started with the really grandiose point totals later in his career. So it almost seems like he's younger because the point totals, big-time numbers, only came a little bit later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're missing number 2 and 5. 2, one of my favorites. 5, You probably won't think of him this way. That's it. You probably won't think of him in being one of the top scorers of over 30. But he's a player you definitely know. I know you've spoken to him, definitely.
Max Pacioretty?
Number 5. I was going to call him, he's today's Michael Ryder.
Yeah, he's much better than Michael Ryder.
No, but my point is how Michael Ryder makes you mad, Pacioretty kind of probably makes me mad.
One of your favorites.
Yeah.
Eric Stahl?
Do you want me to go into my closet and get a jersey of him?
Eric Stahl?
No.
Not Eric Stahl.
Okay, how's this? You have to answer it by the time I come back with the jersey.
Yeah.
Should have had that one. Oh, yeah.
That one.
That was easier than Adam Oates, my friend.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Damn it.
All right. To finalize the post-game Pints podcast here, Mitch, what are we going to name the episode?
What are we going to name the episode?
I got a couple here. One is Gallo's glass is half full and mine is half empty. And
not half full anymore.
And next down is Touchdown Packers. And my final one is Dave's not here, man.
Let's go with number 3.
Dave's not here, man. That might be the name of the episode every single time.